Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to this card making project. In this project we're going to use lots of Anna Griffin goodies, but we're going to use Anna's confetti die in slightly a different way, because obviously when you cut out all your confetti, what do you do with the other section? So I want to show you an idea of using both basically and not making a shaker, so something a bit different. Everything I do use I shall put in a detailed list on my blog, so please feel free to check it out. There's so many more projects on there as well. You can comment on my blog, you can comment on Facebook, and I can get back to you there. I can't get back to you on YouTube. So if you want to reply, stick to my blog or Facebook. Or you can contact me directly actually. There is a way through my blog, so check that out as well. So the first thing that we're going to need is our base card. This is a 7x5 inch card. This is my favourite size of card that I work with, because I think it's just perfect. It's not too big to be daunting. It's not too small to be lost in the post. It's just a nice real estate area, as they say, to cover. And I like this size, so I stick with it probably more than I should. But you know what, from what I hear from you, you like this size as well. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to use a bone folder to make sure we've got a good sharp neat edge along the side. And this is a bone folder from Anna's Essential Tool Collection. I've had mine quite a long time and it's a very handy collection. So now we've made sure we've got a nice sharp edge for that crease, we can turn our attention to the inside of our card. Now this is a very simple inside, but when you see it and it works together with the outside, you might do it on more than this style of card. Now the first thing that I've got is I've cut a layer of ivory card that doesn't have to match the base card, because I've tinted the edge with a black ink pad. And I'm simply just going to add that into the centre of the card. Next, what I've done is I've taken some of the confetti that I die cut from the actual top section that we're going to use for the outside of the card, and I've run it all through my Xyron machine so that it's nice and sticky. And I'm simply going to peel the hearts off, and I'm going to start positioning them at the bottom of the card. So I'm going to just move that up a little bit. So I've got both the small hearts and the big hearts. I'm quite random with what I'm doing, and I'm not making it symmetrical. And because you know I like symmetrical, so I'm just kind of adding them so that each line of hearts is different. Now I'm probably not getting mine straight because I'm kind of rushing, because we've got a lot to fit in, so you'll be able to take more time and make sure that you get them all in nice neat rows. So there we go. So those are my little embellishments for the bottom of the card. And then I've taken one of Anna's sentiment and die stamps, and I've stamped and die cut it, but I've also heat embossed it. And I wanted to show you that just because you've heat embossed something and you take it through the Xyron machine, the Xyron isn't going to affect the finish of your rubber stamp where you've heat embossed it. It's not going to crack it or, you know, affect it in any way. So I've stamped using one of Anna's sentiment dies and stamp sets, and this is, and it says on this special occasion. And I'm simply going to pop that through the centre of the card so that we've still got enough room to write on top and bottom. we've got our little hearts that are going to match the outside, and I think that's quite pretty. I think it's very pretty, really. So it's just something a little bit different. So now we can turn our attention to the outside. Now it's kind of all about layers, is this one, and our first layer is using Anna's black metallic layers, and I've actually die cut 2 of the hearts out of it already. So what you're seeing is, in theory, the waste that I've been left with. However, I'm going to use it as my base layer, because these 2 apertures that I've cut the hearts out of, you're not going to see those when I cover them up. So I'm not worried about, you know, people thinking, oh, you know, you've used a second-hand piece of paper. No, because they will never know. So don't be thinking, oh, if I do that, somebody will be able to tell. They won't. Next, I've used one of Anna's lovely layers, and I've slightly trimmed it just around the edge, and I've trimmed it to the scallop shape. Now, I had one lady who said, you know what, in actual fact, I wasn't keen on these, but because you've done it this way, that's made me think I could use them differently to how I thought I had to use them. Because when you buy your products, you don't have to use them, you know, just as a 7x5 layer. Cut into them, take the edge away. I've taken the edge to the scallop, and then I've tapped it with an ink pad, which is a little tip, because where the colour is on the edge, if you're not the best person with scissors and you can't cut to save your life, tap the ink pad around the edge, and that will hide any imperfections. I've tried not to cut that perfectly because I wanted to be able to show you the edge where I've tapped it. There, you see, that's not cut perfectly there, but I've tapped it around the edge, and now as you're looking at it, you can't tell. Now this was on flat tape, so I'm just going to position it over our previous layer where the aperture was, and now you can't see the aperture, and it's brilliant, all gone. So next what I've done is I've cut out one of Anna's lovely layers, and I've cut this to fit our confetti die cut. So I'm just going to put this to one side because I want to show you something about this. So I've cut this out, I've die cut it out of a piece of paper, and then I've trimmed it to the edge of the die. Now what I mean by that is, when I've die cut it, it took the impression of the edge of the die, because I cut it out of a piece of card that was larger than the die. So I've just trimmed it around. I've used a corner punch to make sure my corners are nice and neat. But on the back, for anybody worrying, there's nowhere to put the tape. I just want to show you, I've already taken the back of my tape off. I don't know if you can see that, there's some tape on there, but I've left one piece with the back on. And between the hearts, there's enough space for your tape. Mine is a 6mm tape, so I'll just take the back of that away, and it fits perfectly. So now I can add my confetti outside to the card that I've cut to go underneath it, like so. There we go. And I'm just going to trim that little bit at the top because I want it nice, neat edge. There we go. And then I can add that through the centre of my card, like so. Now, if you remember, I cut 2 hearts out of the actual cardstock at the beginning, at the first layer, And these are hearts from the All Heart dies from Anna. I've embossed them as well after die cutting them, and I've embossed them using the Florentine scrolls from the Artful Patterns collection. And I am simply going to add one heart to the top of the card, and then I'm going to add the second heart just underneath it, like that. And then I've got a border strip that's from one of Anna's old card making kits. I've got double-sided tape on the back of it, and I'm simply just going to position it through the centre over the tips of the two hearts, if that makes sense. Just so it goes straight across like that. Next, I've used the sentiment stamps and die set again, like we did for the inside, and I've taken them onto two different levels. I've die cut and stamped the frame from the set, and I've got this on flat tape, and I've also used heat embossing on this just to add, I don't know if you can see that, it's a little bit of shimmer to it. And I'm just going to position that over the border strip. Now, I've been asked about the border strips many times, about what to do with them when you've finished using a kit. It's the one thing that people have got left. Well, keep them to use on different cards that you might create, because they can add interest, they can add borders, or just flags and swallowtail tags. So there's a lot you can do with them. So now I've also got the stamp sentiment from the same set, the sentiment die and stamp set, and it's the same sentiment that we've used on the inside, but this time where I've stamped it, I've die cut it out of the smaller size, so I can add that through the centre. I've got it on 3D foam so it stands nice and proud. And then I've taken two of the flower stickers from, let me think, these are from, I think I pinched these out of the Perfect Paintings kit, because they're just some of my most favourite flowers in that kit. So I'm just simply peeling the back of them away, and I'm positioning them either side of our sentiment like that, pressing them down, and then I can finish off with a little bow just underneath. I think we'll have it a little bit higher. There we go. And that finishes the card off perfectly, and it just all works together. It stands up nicely. It's not too high for posting, and I think it's a great way to use the confetti die, the base of the die itself, and some of your confetti, because it just all marries up nicely. And it would be great for a wedding card, that, wouldn't it? So no pun intended there. Please feel free to click the like button, feel free to share, feel free to comment. These videos are for you, and I just love creating them. So I just hope you enjoy them as much as I do. So thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you next time.